Otter Basketball's Point Guard Elite. This has become known as the most intense skill development camp in the country. This camp is kind of the ultimate camp for players coming in for skill development. We're not going to be playing games at this camp, but we're going to be teaching players how to be successful against more athletic players.
Yeah, I mean, what this camp's really designed to do is to really help players that have big dreams with the game of basketball achieve them. I think when we designed this thing originally over 25 years ago, I was thinking about what did I want, or what would I have wanted in the camp, you know, as a player. And it's kind of what we built it around. Wasn't built off of my game at all. I know we did an extensive study of John Stockton, who was like the guy back then, and really built it off of some of the things that he was doing. So I think first and foremost, we talk a lot about efficiency. I mean, we really reinforce that at the junior elite camp. Then as they come up into this, we're talking still about efficiency, because in order to play above your athletic set, everything you do on the court has to have purpose. So I'll eliminate that wasted motion. And then we get into, you know, how to play bigger, how to play longer, because the game's changed a lot in the last 25 years, and these players are taller and longer on the perimeter. And how are you going to find success against them? So how are you going to stretch your passing angles? How are you going to stretch your penetration angles? And we get into a lot of the things that we do to do that, and how to, you know, slow the game down. Too often when you play high-level athletes, you know, they may be faster, quicker, taller, longer, so the game has a tendency to speed up, and you have to be able to slow it down, and that's what we're going to teach them how to do here. Absolutely.
There's so much that we're going to cover in the 4 days of this camp. This camp runs 8 to 5 every single day. Goes for 4 days, and you're not going to see us pack the gym with 100 kids or something like that in one of these camps. And why would you say, I mean, there's other camps out there that I've had parents say, my kid went to such and such camp and they had 150 kids there. And they're asking me, are you going to do that? Because we didn't feel like we got anything out of it with so many kids there.
Well, I am not going to do this because I need results. We've been doing this for over 25 years, and, you know, we've had results. Over 1,000 Division I players out of our program, more than any other developmental program. And if I put that many kids in the gym, I'm not going to get the results that I want. Ultimately, you know, your product's geared on its success, and, you know, we pride ourselves in really teaching kids how to have success, not only at the high school level, but the college level. And we talk a lot about that, like high school success is different than college success a lot of times, but, you know, there's certain things that you have to have. And this Point Guard Camp doesn't only just teach a skill set. You know, we talk about intangible qualities, and that gets into our leadership piece as well. And I think that's really important. You know, you could be the most skilled kid in the world, but if you don't go out in the gym every single day and make people around you better, you're going to struggle. Not only in basketball, but in life.
But in life. There's so much what we do in this camp that transfers right over into putting it into your life. We've had so many players that have come through that, and really the players that have the most success with us are great students, first of all, and they come in, they apply that into basketball, but then they take what they've learned in basketball and they apply it into life, because at some point the basketball stops bouncing in everyone's life, and, you know, it's kind of what have you done? And so they've been able to, we've had players that have come through that are doctors and all kinds of great professions that they've done.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my early kids, you know, I think when I started this thing, I was thinking, you know, it was really about making them the greatest basketball players they could become. And as because in order to do that, in order to do this, and kids come to this many camps, you know, you have relationships, and then when you develop a relationship with a kid, you're like, hey, it's not, I want this kid to be more than just a great basketball player. So it gets into, you know, what are we doing to not only help them find their success in the basketball world, but in the real world. And I think what you were saying was great. You know, you're not going to do well with us if you're not a good student in a classroom. So we really want those students, because the kids that, you know, that find success with us are detail oriented. They're really into the details. They're really into maximizing what they got. And those kids, you know, yeah, they go on and they play basketball at the next level, but then they go on, and so many doctors out of our programs, you know,
dentists and veterinarians,
and I mean those detail-oriented type job. So proud of the kids that have come out.
Going back to what we cover in the camp, there's so many different aspects, just about everything that you can think of in the game of basketball, we're going to cover in these 4 days. And we don't just kind of scratch the surface with it. We really dive in, and we're not just showing players what it is that this drill or whatever drill may be, but we're showing them how to implement it in a game. We're breaking it down, we're showing it to them, we're showing them how it applies into game situations, and then teaching them how to do it. And some of it may be footwork, some of it may be getting past defense, and like you said, stretching your dribble angles, all types of different things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that all ties together with the footwork to stretch an angle against high-level players. And you know, so there's some things that have stayed the same, but a lot of things have changed as the game's changed. And we've even changed a lot in our program. I think early on it was really about going hard, but now it's really about going smart. And, you know, you always hear players tell kids things like, hey, you got to cover more ground. You got to go somewhere in your dribble. Well, how do you do that? Well, we're going to show you, you know. You always hear coaches, you know, say things like, you got to go harder. Well, it's not necessarily when you're playing someone that's faster and quicker and taller and longer and you going faster isn't going to work when we're talking about going harder. It's about beating them with your mind, not with your skill set. And that goes back to, again, slowing the game down, changing speeds, making reads, and not just getting the most out of your body, but getting the most out of your teammates. And that goes into the things we'll talk about in lectures, like, you know, understanding your teammates' strengths and weaknesses, and not just positioning yourself for success, but positioning them for success and not worrying about who gets the credit.
Absolutely. And a huge part of what we teach in this camp is making everyone around you better. Taking the focus off of maybe yourself, your individual play, and focusing on making everyone around you better, because if you're making everyone around you better, you're going to get what you want out of the game in turn.
Yeah, one of the, again, something else we talk a lot about is, you know, it isn't today's world wants you to make everything about yourself. You know, Instagram, social media, the stuff these kids are being exposed to, it's all about them. And that's what makes basketball great, because it's really about getting the most out of a group, a team, hopefully a family type environment. And hopefully they understand how to start to help develop that inside their programs as they go there. But it's also about understanding, like, it's not about you, and it's about understanding your coach's system, and not just how to get the most out of your game, which helps your teammates, but how to get the most out of their game. And we're going to get into that. But, you know, at the camp, you're going to get so much stuff. I mean, the ball screen stuff we do is really going to help you play above your athletic set. It's going to show you a lot of the little things that, you know, you see with the high-level guards as they come off screens, and some of the things that they don't even do that are going to help you as an undersized player. You know, we're going to talk a lot about how to stretch passing angles, how to increase your ball and hand time to do that, as well as stretch your dribble angles. We're going to talk about how to deal with pressure. And I just got on the phone with one of our kids the other day, and he was talking about how, you know, he's running the one, and he thought he was a two guard, but he's the only one that can handle the pressure. And he's been to a lot of our stuff, and it's just a lot of times something as simple as understanding how to position your body as that pressure comes at you. But there's so much. I mean,
defense.
Oh, defense. You know, that's one of the things that's, you know, it's been a journey. You know, 25 years trying to maximize our time, because as we've continued to teach more and more, and as the game's evolved, I really feel like I'm running out of time. So that's why it's important to go to Junior Elite, because I'm not going to go through, I'm going to break it down fast. I'm not going to go through it with as much detail when we talk about the foundational movement mechanics stuff. And when you get into that point guard stuff, we're still going to review that. But I mean, I'm going to put you in the game stuff.
Absolutely. So for some parents, they may be listening to this and saying, gosh, this sounds great. This is exactly what my son needs or my daughter needs, but they're not a point guard. So is this camp still for them if they're not a point guard?
Absolutely. That is one of the craziest things. You know, I hear that, I just laugh, because, you know, I'm in communication with a lot of college coaches and pro coaches, and a lot of our kids that even went to our camps are pro coaches overseas now, which is amazing. But Yeah, basketball is becoming positionless, and you know you're seeing those 6'10" guys come off ball screen, especially in Europe and other places. And positionless basketball is it's the way of the future. So every player on the court to me is a point guard, and we're going to teach. It's not just we're just teaching point guard skills. I mean, we're teaching how to catch, how to square, how to position yourself that way as well. You know, and it's. Movement mechanics is movement mechanics. Whether you're playing down low on the block or you're playing on the perimeter, no matter what kind of offense you're in, this is going to teach you efficiency. This is going to teach you maximize, you know, how to maximize your game.
And we have players not only in high school that attend this camp, but we have college players that'll still come through and attend Point Guard Elite as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to even, you know, one of my guys who was MVP of the EuroLeague came back and went through it one year because he wanted to do it one more time. So yeah, I would recommend college kids doing it for sure. I know a lot of our kids that go on to play at the Division I level struggle to get back because they're so involved in the summertime, but a lot of them are really making a hard attempt to get back at least once a year just to go through it again, just to be in the, it's not just the skill stuff, right? It's the environment.
Right.
I mean, that's what we see at Extreme as well, but it's that environment that we create. And, you know, one of the things I really want our kids to get out of this, you know, obviously make people around them better and, you know, how to train and how to work and how to do things themselves, but it's the understanding of, you know, I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to step in the gym every single day and I'm going to work you into the ground. And that's one of the things that's been pushed since day one, you know, since I started this thing was, hey, nobody outworks us. And I really believe that's one of the things our kids actually do.
So we set this camp for the age group of incoming 8th grade through college age. So let's talk to those parents that have the son or daughter that's a very advanced player that may be incoming 6th or incoming 7th grader. Should they attend Point Guard Elite? Because you may or may not know we have a junior elite camp that is for 4th through 7th grade. So what about those kids that are kind of on the bubble age-wise and they're very advanced skill-wise and they play with older players? What would you say to those parents?
Well, if you go back and you look and if you see the kids at our camps, you're going to know they're all really skilled. And I mean, we've even had some of the kids who have been labeled as the most skilled kids in the country in their age group. We've got the most skilled shooters of all time in high school basketball coming out of our program. So when you're looking at that, me personally, my daughter, she's going to junior elite. And she will stay in it. My son too. And they're a little young to be in that camp, and they are there. But when they're older, they're still going to be in that camp because I know the importance of that camp. So to me personally, I think every kid should go through it. I know maybe they're really good on the AAU level or they have a basketball trainer or whatever. But when you're talking about how we're doing things, it's a little bit different because we're talking about maximizing your athletic ability, playing against players that are faster, taller, longer, and quicker than you, not players that are as fast as you. So that camp, the junior elite does that. Now once you come over, you'll get the game concepts, but and
you'll pick up the game concepts a lot quicker in doing them correctly, having gone through the
kids that are doing well at the point guard camp. You know, they tend a lot of kids attend multiple camps, but the kids that are doing really well at the point guard camp are the kids who went through the junior elite and really bought in and really buy into the system, and as well as the virtual training.
And most of the time,
that helps with it too.
Most of the time, when we have players that are kind of on the bubble, age-wise and skill-wise, we always say, go to that junior elite and we will pull you over. And sometimes we may pull them over to point guard for just portions of it and then send them back to junior elite for other parts of it, you know, when we feel like it's starting to get a little more advanced from where they are at that standpoint. So we definitely have the ability to do that as well.
That's common, I think, more common when kids are in the virtual training or in the online training working their way up, because their skill set is able to advance and they're able to pick up on a few things at the junior elite, and then I can bring them up into the game concepts. I think the biggest problem is kids trying to skip that, because then what happens is if they skip it is they're walking in a point guard camp and they're trying to do concepts, but they don't have the skill set to do it correctly. Whether it's, you know, just handling the ball, straight arm outside the hip, you know, and those things make a big difference when you start, you know, every little detail makes a big difference when you start to see players that are taller, longer, faster, quicker than you.
So for our camps, kids coming in, should they attend prior Otter basketball camps before the Point Guard Elite? If at all possible, yes. If you can get to the one-day camp before this, absolutely. If you can get to the shooting camp before this, absolutely. If you're younger, do the junior elite for sure. The more prior experience you can have before coming into Point Guard Elite, just the more that you will get out of that camp. Sometimes it may not be possible. You may live in an area that maybe we don't offer many camps in that area, or you're flying in from another country, or you're flying in from different parts of the country and you can only get to a Point Guard Elite. That's totally fine. All of these camps, again, they're 4-day camps. We offer them in the summertime. They run 8 to 5 every day. We have commuter or overnight accommodations available. They are co-ed for boys and girls. And let's talk a little bit just quickly about our staff. We get that question a lot. Is it just Jason running the camps, or how many staff do you have with all of your players that are on the court?
Well, I mean, so we like to carry at least one staff member to each 12, as well as me being there, and as well as Christy being there. So it's kind of how we like to try to make it. We do break down the baskets a little bit, but I try to do most of the direct instruction. But you know, my staff is incredible. Awesome. It's the best staff we've had ever. So I've really been proud of what we've done. And the staff is kids who've come through the program. So that's a big key to me, is like, I'm not just picking up random coaches. Like, I've done that, tried that when different places brought me in to run point guard camps, and it doesn't work. I mean, not that they weren't great coaches, but again, we're teaching a system of play that's designed to play above your athletic set, and you've got to know the ins and outs of the system. And the more they're around me, which they travel with me, the more they know, like, you know, how to get this out of this kid who may be making this mistake. Because it's one thing to know a system, it's a whole other thing to make adjustments for each individual kid, which is kind of goes back to that special education, you know, that I talk a lot about with what we were doing when I was, you know, a special education teacher. Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to mention is, you know, the camp's always evolving. So the camp isn't the same as it was 15 years ago. It's always changing. I know the camp was really intense, and a lot of kids say, well, this isn't as intense. Well, it's, again, to me, it's not as intense physically. It's more of a mental thing, and I think that's the next level. It's that mental intensity, your ability to stay focused mentally. A lot of people, like I always say, show up for work every single day. They show up physically, but they don't show up mentally, and those people aren't, you know, elite at their job. The elites show up mentally, and that's one of the big pieces we'll be trying to get through them, is you've got to bring it, and at this camp, you've got to bring it mentally every single day. You know, when we're talking about rerouting, breaking down, understanding concepts, implementing.
And players repeat this camp many, many, many times. They repeat Junior Elite many times. They repeat Point Guard Elite many times. And the main reason is because there's so many concepts that's taught, it's impossible to get it in one time.
When we talk about, you know, the McCabe's and the Weirs and the Geralds, those 3 early ones, I mean, they all did over 20 point guard camps. So they did a lot. And
the parents, and they understand, the parents also understood that, you know, if I invest in my kid right now, in their training right now, their college is going to be taken care of. And that was a huge part of them allowing them to repeat these camps over and over and over.
Well, I mean, just about every kid we've had that's been in the program from a young age has received a full ride scholarship somewhere to play if they wanted to. And that's just the way it's gone. I always, again, you can go out and spend a lot more money going to trainers and all this, and kids not holding themselves accountable, and they're not going to find the kind of success that our kids are. One is because we're going to make them hold themselves accountable. Whether they're doing the online training or not, or the virtual training and they're at the camps, they have to hold themselves accountable for their development. Too often, you know, we're telling kids, you have to do this, you have to do that, but they've got to make that decision to do it themselves.
And they will leave that Point Guard Elite camp with a workout plan in place, one that they have built on their own, using what they have learned throughout the 4 days of the camp. So
that's one of the homework assignments.
So
but they have to understand what it takes. And I think a lot of times kids come in, they have a big passion, they want to do something, but when they leave us, they know what it takes to get there. And I mean, that's the key, because this is basically, you know, it's a roadmap to your dreams. And I mean, Jordan, Matt, Dina, all the kids that have come through after them that went on and played next level, you know, they've proved it. But you have to follow it, you have to do it, and you got to be disciplined when you do it. And we talk about all these things with them.
Absolutely. So Point Guard Elite Camp, those are ran in the summertime. We usually run about 9-10 different locations across the United States. Check out the website at otterbasketball.com. Go to the camp calendar, camp schedule, and you will find those there. Register through the website at otterbasketball.com for further questions. Contact us. I'm Christy. You can contact me directly at 866-357-2966, or you can email us. It's Christy, CHRISTY, at otterbasketball.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.